Have you ever heard of a failure, a 40-year-long project that ends up becoming a massive, futuristic triumph? It really sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. But believe it or not, it's the real story behind India's new Phantom Hunter, a stealth drone powered by an engine that everyone had basically given up for dead. All right, let's dive into this incredible comeback story. So, what you're looking at right here, this is the DRDO Gatak. It's an autonomous, stealthy, unmanned combat aerial vehicle, a UCAV, and it is designed to be a literal ghost in the machine, a hunter that can slip through the most advanced air defenses out there, completely undetected. So, what is this incredible machine actually built to do? Well, let me tell you, this is not just some fancy reconnaissance drone. No, this is a genuine, bona fide hunter-killer. Let's just run through the specs for a second. That flying wing shape, that is pure stealth, designed specifically to be almost invisible to radar. Its whole mission is to fly deep, deep into enemy territory, carrying 1.5 tons of weapons inside an internal bay, which is key to keeping that stealth profile clean. And get this, it uses advanced AI, not just for flying itself, but for something called manned-unmanned teaming. Basically, it'll operate as a robotic wingman alongside piloted jets like the Su-30 MKI. Pretty cool, right? Now, the Gatak's primary job has a very specific and very important name: SEED. That stands for Suppression of Enemy Air Defenses. And honestly, this is one of the most dangerous jobs in all of modern warfare. It means you're the first one through the door, you're proactively hunting down and taking out the enemy's eyes and ears, their radar stations, their missile launchers, so that everyone else can follow behind you safely. But you know, every great machine needs a heart, right? It needs an engine. And this is where our story takes a really dramatic turn. Because the engine that's powering this futuristic drone, it wasn't some brand new invention. Oh no, it's the result of a 40-year journey of failure, resilience, and just remarkable redemption. So let's wind the clock back a bit, actually a lot. We need to uncover the dramatic and troubled history of the engine that makes this all possible, the Kaveri. This right here is the Kaveri engine. It was born out of this really grand ambition to be the heart of India's very first indigenous fighter jet, the Tejas light combat aircraft. The goal was total self-reliance, to build a powerful, world-class jet engine right at home. But as this timeline shows pretty clearly, the road was anything but smooth. The project kicks off way back in 1986. A decade later, they have a prototype on the test stand. But then disaster strikes. In 1998, after India's nuclear tests, U.S. sanctions completely cut off access to critical technologies. By 2004, the engine fails crucial high-altitude tests, and by 2008, after so many setbacks, it was officially dropped from the Tejas fighter program. It looked like it was over. And this quote here, it really gets to the core of the problem. The project was denied access to things like single-crystal turbine blades. These are the kinds of super advanced components you absolutely need to build a high-performance jet engine. So the program was basically trying to run a marathon with its legs tied together. But this is where the story pivots. This is the good part. The project didn't die. Instead, it found a new purpose, a purpose where its perceived failures suddenly became its greatest strengths. This is a true story of redemption. The aha moment is right here on this slide. See, a manned fighter jet like the Tejas, it needs raw, brutal power. It needs an afterburner for combat. But a stealth drone? It needs almost the exact opposite. It needs moderate thrust, incredible fuel efficiency, and most importantly, a low heat signature to stay hidden. An afterburner is basically a giant flare saying, "Here I am," a huge liability for a stealth aircraft. And just like that, the Kaveri's flaws became its best features. Its lower thrust and the fact it didn't have a noisy, hot afterburner, what engineers call a dry engine, made it stealthier, way more efficient, and absolutely perfect for an unmanned platform like the Gatak. Turns out it was the right engine all along, just for the wrong mission at first. So, with the right engine finally paired with the right airframe, the Gatak program could really take shape, moving from just a concept on a computer to a real flying prototype. And the progress since then has been really fast. First, they built the Swift, which was a smaller demonstrator drone to prove all the core tech worked. And in July 2022, it hit a massive milestone, its first fully autonomous flight and landing. That's a huge deal. Now work is underway on the full-scale, 13-ton Gatak, and we're expecting to see flight trials in late 2026. The momentum is definitely real. And let's not forget what this whole thing is built for: That number, 1.5 tons, that's its internal weapons capacity. We're talking about a serious amount of precision-guided firepower, all carried inside so it can stay a ghost to enemy defenses. So, why does all of this matter? This isn't just a story about one drone or one engine. What we're looking at here is a massive leap forward for India's strategic and industrial ambitions. Let's just break down why it's so important. First off, it's a huge win for self-reliance in what is arguably the most critical defense technology there is. Second, it means less dependence on other countries for jet engines, which gives India way more strategic freedom. Third, it puts India in a very, very exclusive club of nations that are developing this kind of stealth drone tech. And finally, with the Indian Air Force planning to buy at least 150 of these things, this is going to be a core piece of its future. This comparison table really puts the Kaveri story into numbers. Just look at the dry thrust, 49.2 kilonewtons. It's less powerful than the GE engine that ended up in the Tejas, and way less powerful than the massive AL-31 that powers the Su-30. For a fighter jet, that was a deal breaker. But for a fuel-sipping, low-heat, stealthy drone, that number is the absolute sweet spot. It's not about raw power, it's about efficient, sneaky performance. So, this brings us back to the final, really fascinating question. After a 4-decade journey, an odyssey filled with setbacks, sanctions, and being nearly abandoned, can this once-failed engine truly power India's leap into the next generation of warfare? Well, the story of the Gatak and the Kaveri seems to suggest that sometimes the greatest triumphs are born from the most challenging failures.